Thumbelina, a mere 6 inches tall, knew she was different. 16 years had passed since her miraculous origin in a teacup on Mrs. Carlson's kitchen counter.
Maybe she's a blessing.
Mrs. Carlson would say, gently providing for her tiny charge on the flower farm. Life was full of sunlight and fragrant air, but Thumbelina felt she didn't belong. Not to humans, not to insects, not even the flower pots meant for safety. So it started with a longing for another life, for someone who understood. Unfortunately, longing is risky when you're 6 inches tall. One evening, as the greenhouse lamps flickered off and the air cooled, Thumbelina climbed to her favorite perch, a single rose petal curling softly beneath her bed. It was there that she met Cornelius, or, as he introduced himself,
Mr. Cornelius, field mouse, botanist, and part-time flautist.
About her size, sharply dressed in wild oat silks, and with a mannerism that could only be described as agreeable in the extreme. He was the first being, big or small, to meet her gaze directly and not mistake her for a decorative figurine. Cornelius was on the run, embarrassingly, from nothing more than a territorial mole who had taken umbrage with his scientific paper on root systems. But for Thumbelina, his tales of fields beyond the greenhouses and shadowy woodlands sounded like pure, unfiltered adventure. She didn't hesitate. She gathered her thimble of water and 2 poppy petal satchels and left a note folded atop Mrs. Carlson's crossword.
Thank you for everything. Don't worry. I will return when I know who I am.
Thumbelina suffered through 3 agonizing evenings of amphibian crooning before she decided escape was non-negotiable. The opportunity came when the dragonflies returned, old friends of Cornelius, as he endlessly reminded her after the fact. With a single daring leap, she landed onto the back of a crimson-winged dragonfly, who whisked her away with Cornelius just close behind, blaring panic on a blade of grass. They sailed through goldfields and over fences, past orchards and streams. But the real discovery happened on the far side of a mossy grove, an entire community of small folk living in dewdrop houses and mushroom cap galleries. Here, nobody was out of place. Nobody cared how tall you were or whether you fit neatly in a thimble or a teacup. For the first time, Thumbelina laughed loudly without watching for passing boots or garden tools. The summer passed in a blur. Singing contests under the moonflower, cricket races, and stargazing on magnolia leaves. Cornelius looked on, content at last to be nowhere in particular. But despite the harmony, Thumbelina knew she had to reach out once more to the world she'd left behind. So at the summer's end, she returned to the Carlson farm, a place now a little duller, but still home. She found Mrs. Carlson weeding the iris beds, and for the first time, let herself be seen. Thank yous were exchanged, so were stories and eventually invitations. The Carlson Flower Farm, formerly just a business, became famous for garden tours where the unlikely could be seen. A botanist mouse quoting poetry, tiny acorn lights strung between tulip stems, and every year, a girl no taller than 6 inches leading the way. In the end, Thumbelina had answered her own longing. She belonged wherever she chose, so long as she lived it as herself. Which, really, is about as happy an ending as you can hope for,